Okay, everyone, I see that it's about a little bit after 11, so we should probably get started. My name is not PRPS Training, it's Dan Hendy, and we share the line, Nikki and I, so we both have this training name. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Just a few quick things. I found a neat little trick on Zoom is that you can mute yourself in the lower left corner, and then you can while you press on the space bar. So you can talk as long as you have the space bar pressed down, and then as soon as you let go, you're muted again, and that will help because we have almost, I don't know, let's see, we have like 24 people. That'll cut down on a lot of background noise if we could all try to do that. The second thing is it's always helpful to have videos of people. We like to see our smiling faces, so please don't be shy. You know, come on, show your face. And, you know, we're all sitting in our living rooms and, you know, been here for a while, so there's a lot of acceptance here. Oh, nice baseball background there, Boyd. Okay, so some questions have been put together already, and Derek has graciously accepted our invitation to sort of lead this conversation. If you're having any problems or whatever, please, you can use the chat function, type them in, and either myself or Nikki can helpfully answer some questions, or at least we can key them up for questions to the group later on. So that's about all I have for now. Just maybe we can go around real quick. There's 24 of us, so let's keep it under like 10 or 15 seconds. You know, who you are, and maybe one of your biggest challenge or a celebration you want to have during this time. Derek, why don't you start?
Okay, Derek Thorica from Upper Midland County. We are located in Montgomery County. I'm a part of Park Resource Board, so we're going to be helping moderate the conversation. We did a kind of a mostly full closure about 10 days ago. Basically, our open space areas are open, so we have some good feedback, I think, to provide based on experience here.
Nick. Nikki?
Oh, hey, this is Nikki from PRPS.
Carl?
Yes, this is Carl Hall with the City of Harrisburg. I'm working from the house. I was the one who was coughing in the background at the last meeting, so I'm at home.
Oh, that's
operating.
tough.
Yes, but we're still operating. We just split up the crews into different locations throughout the city.
Carl Lukens, you want to give us a quick one?
Yep. Hi, Carl Lukens, Lansdale Borough. Like Derek, we shut everything down. We're somewhat neighbors, and just our trails are being mobbed.
Thanks, Carl. Brian, BK.
Hi there, BK from Pennsylvania Park Maintenance Institute. Just bouncing in, trying to keep up with everybody.
And I'm looking at B. Cope.
It's Brian Cope, Northampton County. We're completely shut down right now too, and just trying to see what we can do here in the next couple of weeks.
And I have somebody named Laptop. I'm sorry, I don't know everyone's name right now.
Hey, yeah, that's Kurt Euler, South Middleton Township. We're still functioning. We just went to a modified shift schedule with both our parks and our road crew. They're on 10-hour shifts. We just alternate. One works Monday through Thursday, and the other one works Tuesday through Friday to make sure we have our services covered. We're just practicing social distancing as best we can.
Yeah, I hear you. Emily Gates and Tim Hurd are also here, and they are also from PRPS. In the we'll just bypass you guys because everybody knows you guys and knows what you're up to, and that'll help us speed things along. Sherry? Well, Sherry, we're having trouble hearing you.
Am I there now?
Yes, you're good now.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm with DCNR, and I'm just here to listen in because I was listening with the health and wellness call the other day, heard you guys are having one, so it's just interested to hear what's going on out there.
Okay, Tim? Tim Conley? Oh, you got to unmute.
You hear me now?
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, Upper Yukon Township Public Works Department handle the parks and facilities. So probably just trying to stay healthy, and so I just worry about the grass and being able to get out there and maintain that grass, and especially in our parks to keep them keep them low. So
Yeah, things are starting to green up. That's for
yes,
sure.
that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Okay, I got phone numbers here. 412 area code phone number. 412-265-7435. Almost can hear you, almost.
Well, that's not
All right,
quite
well-
my phone number. This is
265.
Rebecca. Am I one of the phone numbers you're seeing?
That's the one I was just reading, yeah.
Okay, hi, this is Rebecca. I'm over here in the Pittsburgh area. I work for Advanced Turf Solutions, and we are apparently an essential business, so we are still operating. A lot of my customers are schools, universities, municipalities, public works departments, parks and recreation departments. So I'm seeing and hearing a little bit of everything. And yes, you're right. Athletic fields, parks, grounds, greening up is a very big concern right now.
Yeah. And then I have a 717-216-692.
Yep, that's Cindy Dunlap from DCNR. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're great.
Okay, good. So I'll just let you know, we could talk about this more later, but coordinating a project right now with our regional offices to identify, as best of our ability, a big, huge list of local parks closings. And we're pulling information from everywhere, from the media, from websites, for what we know, from what we're hearing. And the reason we're doing that is because our state parks are open for public access. The facilities are closed, but they're open for public access, and they're extremely overwhelmed. Some of them are being vandalized. They're being, we're having restrictions on hiring summer staff. So what we're trying to do is give them a heads up in terms of how they're going to be impacted by parks closings. So I'll stop there, and we could talk a little bit more about that if we want to, under closures category.
Yes, that'd be a good topic. Okay, next one is another 717-610-5856. Another 717. Okay, I'm going to move on. 610-678-85399.
I think that's mine, Dan. This is Judy Hauk from Spring Township.
Hi, Judy. Hi, Judy. Yes, it is
hi.
you.
Okay. We've closed facilities within our parks, but our parks are open. Staff-wise, I'm one of only 5 people who are still working in the administration building, and our maintenance staff has been split into 2 teams, 1 week on, 1 week off. So that's where we are right now.
Ooh. Okay, and then below you is a 1-267-261-7989.
Oh, hi, it's Ann Toole. Hello.
Hi, Ann.
Oh, hello. I'm glad you could hear me. I am a Parks and Recreation planner. I'm on the NRPA Board of Regents for the Maintenance Management School, and we've been working the last 3 weeks in identifying how we can help our 250 students while they are on reduced schedules but available for training.
Thank you, Ann. Boyd, is it opening day? Is that why you have that backdrop there? Boyd, you got to unmute, bud. All right, Boyd. All right, Boyd, you have to use the unmute yourself. There you go.
Boyd Montgomery. I'm with the Toro Company. We're part of the sponsors of the Pennsylvania Parks and Rec Maintenance element, and just glad to be here to sort of hear sort of what you guys are struggling and working with some of these everyday changes, it seems like.
Thank you. All right, another 717-386-1785.
That's Kurt again. I had to use my phone to call. My microphone wasn't working on the computer. So you got my video.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yep.
All right, Kyle Ripka.
Hello there. I'm from Upper Euclid Township. We're working from home right now, just trying to keep my Parks and Recs edge sharp.
Okay. And then I have a Judy. Is that you again, Judy? Or is there another Judy?
I think so, yes. Oh, I don't know. I thought it was me. Unless there's another one.
Is there another Judy out there? Okay. CJR 147.
Hi, that's me. Cynthia Rabbers from Penn State University. I actually manage Stone Valley Recreation Area. We are working from home. My maintenance staff is completely off right now, so we are shut down, but people can still access the area.
Oh, that's good. I'll be out there later this weekend, I think.
You can't get to the parking lot, but there's other places you can find the park.
We'll find something. Paul LaMarca. Paul LaMarca? All right. Vince Anastasi?
That's correct. Can you hear me?
All right. Oh, yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Vince Anastasia. I'm from Lawn and Golf Supply Company. Thank you for having me in the meeting today. My biggest challenge right now is working through this Zoom meeting. It's my first one, and all essence it's going well. But I was just out here working there, doing what I need to do to help my customers out, to keep them supplied with the tools they need to keep their equipment up and running.
Okay,
So,
thanks, Vince.
Thanks
for being here. And then I have a Kay Frankel.
Yes, that's me.
Oh, okay.
Great. This is Kathy Frankel. I'm with DCNR. I'm the Western Pennsylvania Regional Manager, and I'm here working remotely outside of Pittsburgh in West Mifflin, and I'm just tuning in to kind of see what tips I can learn to share with my constituents.
Okay, great. All right, well, I think that's everybody. Did I miss anyone? Great.
Yeah, I just step away for 1 second. This is Mike Cookitz. I'm the Park and Rec Manager for South Whitehall Township. Just here to learn what everybody else is doing out there in these strange times that we all find ourselves in.
Okay, very good. All right, well, you know that there are 27 of us on this call right now, or the Zoom meeting, whatever you'd like to call it. So going forward, if we have comments, you're gonna need to wait until the other person has finished speaking before you can add your comment. It doesn't work like an Italian dinner table where everybody can talk at the same time and everybody understands everything. It's really one at a time is about the only way it really works where everybody can hear everybody. So, but just keep that in mind, and I'm going to turn it over to Derek.
Okay, what I'm actually going to suggest is if everybody has the chat function, the group chat, if you want to send questions through that, and then myself, Judy, and Kurt, who will be unmuted, we can then read those off. I think that may be a good way to kind of keep this a little bit more organized. If that doesn't work, you know what, we'll go into quarantine function and we'll figure this out. So what we've created, what Kurt, Judy, and I have created is just a basic agenda today. I don't think there's benefit necessarily going through each one and saying, this is closed for us, this is closed for not closed for us. I think it will be beneficial though for us to kind of go through these. We can give a couple examples, and then if there's questions about that, you know, that specific topic, then we can go from there. I'm also not going to try to control this meeting 100%, and we'll just kind of see how it goes and how it flows through. So let's try to use the group chat function. If that's not working, then just unmute and then come on in. So the couple of main topics that we're going to be talking about today are the park and amenity closures. I think probably has closed at least something, if not their whole park system. Implementing new rules. So we now have new rules for some of our parks, you know, social distancing, things that are closed. So how we're going about implementing those. Cleaning procedures specifically. If you are going through or you have questions about that, we can talk about that. And then staffing. And this is staffing currently, but also in the future, because we don't necessarily know when this whole thing's going to end. So let's start with parks and amenity closures. And then Judy and Kurt, feel free to just chime in as we're going. This is probably, I don't know, we'll call it worst case scenario. As of this point, we've closed all of our playgrounds, sport courts, dog parks, and athletic field, or not athletic, not the grass fields, the turf fields. We've also closed all of our access to all of our pavilions. How we've gone about doing that, we've done a combination of yellow caution tape, we've done signage, and then we're actually doing enforcement as well with our Parks Division staff, our police department, and our Park Patrol program. Specifically for sport courts, wherever we could lock something up, we've put a lock on that. So tennis courts are usually a prime example. Basketball courts, we've taken off the rims where we couldn't take a rim off, where it was actually welded on. We've gotten 2 pieces of plywood and basically screwed them together and put them over the rim. Dog parks was one where we actually tried to keep open as long as we could. And then because no one can really, you know, decide what 6 feet is and they can't control themselves, we had to take away all the nice things. So that's what government can do. We can take away the nice things. And then we have only closed our turf fields, our grass athletic fields, we are just kind of leaving in and monitoring them. For Cindy, myself, Kathy, and I think Karen, to Berks and Bucks and Montgomery, we've been putting together and maintaining lists for closures and statuses of all the parks in Montgomery, Berks, and Bucks County. I'd be happy to email those out to you once we get off this call. So are there any questions related to park and amenity closures, or if you have something to add, you know, that we didn't necessarily bring up? And it looks like BK is going to end up maintaining any kind of questions, and he'll consolidate them and then share back. Judy or Kurt, do you guys have anything to add? No? Can someone give me a head nod that you can hear me? Okay, good. Okay, thanks. Okay, well, I'm gonna just keep going through then. In terms of implementing, oh, Kurt is trying to talk but is muted. Kurt, unmute yourself. Bottom left-hand corner.
See if we can get this thing.
Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry. Can you hear me on the computer now? Yeah, good. I'm on both links. So I was trying to kill my phone so I can actually talk here. Yeah. So what we have is our computer, our courts are completely different. I mean, our playgrounds are signaled, and we've got everybody to stay off. So they're staying off them relatively. I mean, we have a lot of activity that's going on in our parks, but people are actually abiding by staying off the playground equipment. So it's pretty nice, you know. They are out. The parks are very busy in the trails. So, I mean, we've got a little different scenario. It seems like everybody is doing exactly what we're asking them to do.
Okay. And Judy, do you have anything to add? I think she's on mute still.
Yeah. There we go.
I just tried to unmute her, Derek. I think I have the right number, but I'm looking through.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's just keep going through, and then if there's any other, are there any questions related to parks amenity closures? I would agree with Kurt. I think overall we've had a lot of compliance. Our biggest issue has been turf fields because there's only a 4-foot high fence. So that's been not only, we've locked up all the goals, but there's still just large groups coming on. We have 2 turf fields. It seems to be when people are in the parks, they're mostly walking. That's kind of what they're doing. I did have one local Boy Scout troop who had asked permission. They set up an orienteering. Program, and they actually scheduled people with 15-minute blocks in between. And that was a kind of a semi-organized activity that we did allow in our parks, and they kind of asked for permission of that. Otherwise, we've had bike riding and walking, and that's been the main thing. Okay. So implementing these new rules of COVID-19, we've always taken an approach with any type of rule that there's really 3 major points. It's education, signage, and enforcement. So from an education standpoint, we're pushing material out through social media. As Kurt alluded to as well, I mean, we're putting actual signage up at these amenities and letting people know that they are closed. And then in any email blast that our department's putting out, as well as the township is putting out, there's actually a full list of basically updates throughout all departments posted on that. So that's kind of a 3 points that we're trying to educate the general public. We're also educating them when we do have one-on-one interaction with them as well, or 1-on-6 interaction with people when you have the groups together. The signage it's been important. We put temporary signage up at every one of these amenities, and we actually have staff every day. Part of the Parks Division staff's responsibilities are going out every day to make sure barrier tape is still up and that the signage is still up, and they have extra material because we're on kind of a stay-at-home order. So we're not going out mowing grass. We're not going out and doing really park projects. We're basically cleaning restrooms and checking on the safety of our parks. That's where we've, because we have 2 guys working right now. And then the enforcement leg, and I kind of alluded to this a little bit, our Parks Division staff, when they're working, they're out there helping enforce when they're checking on the barrier tape and signage. We're also having our police department assist in more extreme situations where we have large groups of people, because our staff is not trained to work through that. And then we're fortunate enough that we have a park patrol program called Site Watch, a partnership between the school district, the township, and youth sports, and they're still working. They work from 5 to 8 on weekdays, and then they work from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on weekends. So they're going out and helping enforce and really inform. We took that approach. We said, let's inform the public, not enforce it, for the first couple days, and now we're going more forward with an enforcement. Does anybody have any additions to implementing new rules, or maybe something creative that they've done, or an issue that they're having? So I just saw a question from Dan yesterday about Frisbee golf. Dan, do you want to unmute and then just, I guess, ask your specific question about Frisbee golf?
Yeah, yesterday during one of these roundtables, someone was experiencing some difficulty with what to do about Frisbee golf, because it was being well played I guess, over the weekend. And, how do you close it? Can you clean it? What kind of restrictions, if any, can you do? And so I think they were curious about what the group, if anyone was in a similar situation, what they've done.
So does anybody I have some thoughts, but does anybody on this call actually have a Frisbee golf or disc golf course that they're managing, and what are they doing?
We have one. It's just, we're keeping it open, I mean, it's, people are using it. I mean, it's, as long as their personal gear's clean, everything should be fine,
I would say probably in more extreme situations, you could take out the cages. I think also you could have signage at each tee box reminding people to keep proper distance from each other, and possibly even put hand sanitizers out on the course. I mean, that would be something else that, extreme, typically from the disc golfers I know, there's typically some type of alcoholic beverage usually in their bag. So I would assume that, if need be, they can sterilize with any type of alcohol. Beer will not do that, and that's for the general knowledge of this group. But I think that's a good question. Is anybody managing a golf course? And if so, is your golf course still open? Okay, we just closed our golf course, so that was great. We converted our golf course to a park, which is now being well utilized. Let's talk about cleaning procedures and maybe just get an idea of what everybody's doing. The main two things I've seen on a state level and a national level that's being discussed is, are people sanitizing or cleaning their playground equipment? There are some departments that are out there every day with either foggers or actual spray bottles and wiping down the ingress and egress points of playgrounds. They're not wiping down every single rail, but they're wiping down the commonly touched places. I also know I've seen a lot of parents out there with wipes, and they're wiping down the door handle before they go into the bathroom. They're wiping down the picnic table before they sit down. So I think some personal responsibility is being taken, but are there any departments who are on this call or private businesses that are on this call that are doing something specifically like that with their playgrounds or other things that are still open?
Lansdale is not cleaning anything, because if you clean it and you go away and then somebody uses it, unless you're cleaning right behind every single person, you're just wasting your money. So just having it signed saying you're closed is all we're doing.
We were starting to do cleanings on Mondays and Fridays, but with the stay at home in place now here, we pretty much have all of our playground sectioned off with like the caution fence, the orange fencing. We put those around all of our playground areas. I do want to ask the question about, I understand the closing of basketball courts, but why tennis courts? What we've done is we've actually kept the entrances open. We roped them open, so less contact of opening and closing, but there's still the distance of people more than 6 feet, a lot more than that. So we felt that we could keep those open. I'm just trying to understand maybe some other people, why they closed or are not closing that.
So in Upper Dublin, we took the position of closing tennis courts because we felt they were going to be used for other uses as well. So it is a semi-enclosed area. While it's open air, it's enclosed in terms of it being fenced. So we assumed the worst probably, and we looked at people are going to be gathering there, riding their bikes, that's going to end up becoming a skateboard hub as well. And we thought for other uses, even like kind of pick up T-ball type of games, that type of thing where the kids could kind of be corralled. I mean, even our Gaga pit, which is open air and just has a little latch, we just closed it down. Anywhere where people could become in close contact. One thing I have seen is, and this is a struggle with us, our school district, which shares the same boundaries as us, has no staff in, and they refuse to call anybody in. So while we've closed down our sport courts and our playgrounds, all of their stuff is still wide open, and we've tried to communicate with them. You need, like, your playgrounds are, you should really be signing them. We'll do that for them, but there's some fears about union negative feedback, or actual file of grievance from their union staff. Is anybody having an issue or seeing that with our school district where as park and rec professionals, we've taken one approach and the school district is taking a different approach?
But
Derek,
back
this
to
is
the
Judy. Can you
tennis
hear me?
court real quick. Lansdale closed them because right now we're supposed to be at stay at home, only go out when needed. So unless you're going out for a walk, you shouldn't be going out to play tennis.
Judy, we just did hear you, so if you wanted to speak up, that'd be great.
Okay. First of all, we just this week, this past Monday, our board decided to close our facilities. So we've spent the last 3-4 days getting that done. Our school district called us and said, "Are you closing your parks?" And we told them yes, that's what the board had decided. And then their response was, "Well, now we're going to have to close ours." So I've not seen it yet, but I imagine they have fenced theirs off as well. We took down all the nets, the basketball rims, and did the orange fencing around the play equipment, as well as signage, because I know that fencing is going to be coming down and kids are going to get on it. But we did sign it that it was not sanitized. And as far as restrooms, none of our restrooms are open unless someone has rented the pavilion. So those are already closed, and we did not get any portable toilets in, which we typically do April 1st for Little League practices and things like that. So we have not had any of those delivered, and will not have those delivered until they officially open the parks again.
That was actually a couple good points there, Judy, and we appreciate the feedback. I think definitely a discussion with your school district. You need to at least have that discussion. And I love how it always sounded in Judy's case where the school district was poo-pooing the decision of like, oh, well, since you guys do it, I guess we'll have to protect the public and do it as well. But two other items, the portable toilets, we typically actually have them delivered right around now for our athletic fields to be served. We actually canceled all of those, and the ones that were out on more of an annual basis, we've asked them to be brought back in because they're only being cleaned once a week at max, and that's by the third party. Outdoor fitness stations has been another one that we actually closed off, but people are regularly, that's probably one of our biggest violators, where people are regularly just walking under the tape and they're doing their pull-ups and everything else. So that's been a lot of our staff discussion. Playgrounds have been pretty good overall, but the outdoor fitness stations where adults are making the decisions for themselves seems to be a lack. From a restroom standpoint, we have made the decision to keep our restrooms open. I think Carl makes a valid point. Unless you're walking up behind the person, every person that's going to the restroom, it's hard, or the playground, it's hard to say that it's clean. But what we're doing is, that's again one of our park maintenance staff responsibilities, is every restroom is being cleaned. We have 2 public restrooms that are open year round, and they're actually open 24/7. They're being cleaned every single morning. And then our site watch staff is going back through in the evening and doing a wipe down. And we do have staff coming in on Saturdays and Sundays. Our reason being that people are going to be at the parks anyways. And rather than them having unsanitary behavior where they're going to the bathroom in the woods and then not washing their hands, we know they're going to be there anyways. So we've made the choice of let's provide them with as clean of a facility as we can that has at least soap and water that they can wash their hands if they want to be at the parks. That was something that we looked at, and one of our board members works with a hospital, and I proposed that and she agreed, so we've continued with that. I think in extreme situations where we can't have staff working, we'll just have to shut them down because we have no ability to kind of keep them clean. Is anybody else keeping their public restrooms open right now at any of their parks?
Yeah, ours are open. Same period. We're giving those people a place to go because we'd see the unsanitary conditions, and we'd also want a place for them to be able to go and wash their hands with hot soapy water. So yes, we are open. We do have porta johns out. I mean, people came around and actually stole the hand sanitizer out of them. So I mean, because there's the big demand for it. But otherwise, they're going to go someplace in the parks. We're too open not to have them have a place to go to the bathroom. So
I know that Berks County has their bathrooms open as well. Their commissioners did not want to close them. and their maintenance staff is cleaning them on a daily basis. Portable toilets and regular restrooms.
A question that BK just kind of put out there was, what are folks' contingency plans for trash and cleanup? Even though facilities are closed, humans generate waste. Do we need to treat all trash like sharps at this point in time? We are continuing to just follow best management practices. Regarding that, we have now, our sanitation department now has been provided with masks, with eye protection, as well as gloves, thicker gloves, when they're handling this stuff. And I saw the post recently. I guess it was at Nolde, up in like the Berks County area, that DCNR had posted, where the trash along the trail system just is building up significantly. That's why we're trying to stay on top of our trash and do the kind of the best that we can. How about anybody else that's either picking up trash or their sanitation department's picking up trash in the parks? Is anybody else taking a different approach, or more care or less care? Hopefully not less care. That would be a bad suggestion.
We have our collections on Mondays and Fridays, and we only have 2 staff that are coming in right now, 2 of my park foremen, just to kind of keep a handle on the trash. But everything's been pretty good. We've seen a lot of people doing take in, take out, and just kind of keeping the park clean. So we've been pretty happy about what we've seen with that.
We also are just doing Monday, Friday pickup like normal, as our normal schedule.
I did see a comment from, we pulled our trash cans so only the dumpster is available for people to throw trash since no one is on site. And that's, I think, where we're at for some of these departments. You don't have anybody working. So there's no one to go pick up the trash. It sounded like, I guess, at Penn State, at their one site, there's no maintenance staff at all, and it's kind of a free-for-all. So Dan, when you go this weekend, the expectation is you're gonna be leaving with 2 large trash bags full of trash. That's a personal thing you need to do as a park and rec professional. Okay.
Will do.
Appreciate that. Let's jump into staffing then. And I think there were 2 good points that were brought up. So alternating, this is really alternating either shifts. It sounded like there's some where you've gone to a 4-10, and some staff is off Mondays, some staff is off Fridays. I know we are actually doing a 1 week on, 1 week off. We split the staff in half. So our sanitation department is working full time, and highway department, which is not under my jurisdiction, is working their half, and they're basically supplementing sanitation to help that route get done earlier, but they're doing no road work. And then the parks division, which is under Parks and Recreation, we split our staff, and our only focus, as I talked about, was restroom cleaning, and they go check on barrier tape and just check out safety. What other options? And then we are paying. That was a decision that was made yesterday, that if you're off for a week, you are still getting paid, at least in the interim, until a different policy is developed. Originally, we were going to force people to take PTO with sick time. So what other things are departments doing in terms of how they're breaking up their staff? We're also requiring that no one shares the same vehicle. So because we have half the staff, we can do that. And we're doing a wipe in, wipe out. Regardless if you're driving that truck every single day, when you get into the truck, you wipe down steering wheel, console, shifter, and then when you come out, you're doing the same thing in case someone else goes in. They're the major procedures we're taking. So I'm going to open it up to the group. What options really for staffing, if you have staff working, are you doing right now?
This is Judy. We are doing, as you are, 1 week on, 1 week off. It's just one department. Public Works does all of the maintenance. So they split them in half. And we also, the ones who are at home, are getting paid without having to use any of their PTO.
As of now, we all my park staff is pretty much home. Like I said, we do trash cleanups on Mondays and Fridays. But I think my main concern is coming in the next week or two when maintenance of the grounds is going to become an issue. And I'm kind of liking this 1 week on, 1 week off, and only having one person in one vehicle at one time. I mean, we have sites throughout the county, so I kind of got to go to the courthouse, the government, the human services building, and with our parks as well. So we'll have to figure out how we can do that part.
So one thing that we've done actually over the last 3 years, because we've prioritized, really mowing less. So as a result, we have a blackout list, and that would be during like peak, like summer, when things aren't growing as much. We have a secondary list where rather than a 4.5 day mow, it gets broken down to almost a 2.5 or 3 day mow. So that's something I would recommend to those that are managing park maintenance staff, is really look at your sites, knowing that athletics are not going to be taking place. You might want to increase the height in which you're mowing. So change the height of your mowers to maybe a 4 or 4.5 inch. And then when you're going back online over those 2 weeks, we're planning on a 2-week ramp up. If athletics are going to come back this spring, we're planning on a 2-week ramp up, for us to get the fields back in order. So basically each week we would lower, a 1/2 inch on that mow. But we have that list that's what we're going to be going to, and that's where our priorities are once we get into mowing, because we're probably at a 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks out. That 2 weeks would probably be pushing it, especially because how many people are in the parks right now too. So that's worked for us. I mean, we've continued to kind of use that. So there's actually, Boyd put out, is anyone using a plant growth regulators to regulate grass growth? And that's something that we use actually on we mix that in with our athletic field lines when we're putting them down. So that would be something to look at to kind of slow down the grass from growing. Any other comments, I guess, regarding mowing or what you're anticipating or what you're planning on doing?
So our guys, like I said, we're working, right? We're working 10-hour shifts. We're a public works department, but we have a parks crew and we have a road crew. Okay. And like I said, they're working separate 10s, but we're covering the 5 days a week that we need to be here. When I look at it and I do the viewpoint, when the guys are doing the maintenance of the parks, they're already doing social distancing when they're on a lawnmower. They're by themselves. They're very contained by themselves. So we can pretty much continue with that activity that we have there. They're not interacting a lot with the people that are on the trails. They're out there just on a lawnmower. They're doing their thing. Our work staff, with the road department, we're still doing projects. We've got some major projects that are opened up. So we've been directed by our board to keep moving forward with them. Just trying to spread the guys out, just separate vehicles, taking more vehicles to the site. Once they're out in the open air, they're understanding to try to maintain their 6 feet distance. We haven't gone to the extremeness of stopping work yet. That's not where our directive has come from work yet. So, that's sort of our viewpoints, to just keep going and try to keep our parks to the safety are, because they are being used a lot.
Yeah, we've tried to, and I think actually landscaping, and maybe Dan or Tim, if you're still on the call, you guys may be able to touch on this, or even Cindy from DCNR. Landscaping, I believe, is exempt from the.
Yes.
So I guess, we do a lot of things in our parks division. So I think the construction part would not fall into that, but mowing is exempt. I mean, I've seen people out there. So I think Kurt brings up a good point. As long as you can stagger your crew and also put them where they're not in a situation where they're really interacting either directly with the general public or with each other, I think there's a way to maintain it. Also, think about simple things like you don't need to weed whack every week. And that's something we do anyways, just from a lack of staffing. You need to actually maybe actively manage mowing rather than passively manage mowing. It represents 40% of everything that we do. So by actively managing it, we've been able to reduce our overall mowing, by 10%, which saves about 1,800 hours throughout the entire year. Say, look, you're going to go mow this area with the big gang mower or the 0 turns. We're not weed eating this week. So then you can really spread your staff and best utilize them for the things that are really important. And again, athletic fields not being in operation, that's also a big part of our spring and fall. So there may be opportunities again to reassign staff that way.
Hey, can I jump in? This is Dan Douglas with CAFMA organization. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Can you
We can
see
hear you.
me?
No, but we can hear you.
Good, because I don't want you to see me right now. I'm not presentable. As far as athletic fields go, and we've been working. I was working all through the weekend with golf course guys and everyone else just to figure out what we can and can't do. And obviously, I'm trying to keep it as minimal maintenance as possible and send a few people out, and not me, but personally, but for all of our CAF members. And I absolutely agree. Like PGRs, slow the grass down. Higher mowing height. The question some people had, like, can I go out there and aerate and seed and all that kind of stuff, and then get our fields in great shape because we don't have players on them for a couple of weeks? It'd be an awesome time to actually get the fields back into some kind of shape, and now's a great time to get some seed out there and stuff. I'm just curious where you guys fall with that. Is that just outside the realms of minimal maintenance and what we should be doing, or are we just too limited on manpower to even do that, or we wouldn't even consider that? So I'm curious what you guys think about that.
Well, Dan, that's exactly what we've been doing. This is Kurt Euler. We've aerated all week long. We've been slit seeding. We just put our first round of fertilizer out this week. I mean, Dimension's not going to be too far away. And when those guys are doing it, they're working by themselves. It's one guy on a tractor pretty much, So as far as I'm concerned, that's social distancing, and we're still able to get our work done.
So we've
Kurt,
go ahead.
We plan to do the same thing. As soon as it's dry enough where we are to actually get on the field, we plan to get seed down, and we also talked about keeping the mowing height up, like Derek had spoken about, because we have places that'll go from nothing to all of a sudden it's 5 inches. And I said, right now we can let it get a little high until, because I know that we're not playing before May at this point.
So we did. Go ahead, Kurt.
Actually, it was me. Are you guys also? I understand that mowing is social distance, by virtue of by nature. Are you guys doing anything like when they get off the mowers as far as extra cleaning or extra attention to that?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, it's just, you typically what I'm talking about when a guy's on a tractor, he just comes out and he's dumping bags of seed into the seeder or whatever. He's pretty much working on himself, and he's going to wash his hands anyway. We're not having to really, I mean, depending on what he's handling. I mean, probably our biggest challenge that we're going to see and happen this year is when it comes to like our spraying of pesticides for like our dandelions and stuff. Usually when everybody's in school and at work, we can get that work done in the mornings. We're not going to be able to get that done this year because everybody's in our parks. So we're going to have a lot more dandelions. That's where we're going to have to hopefully control it with some dimension and stuff like that. But you're going to see yellow dandelions because we're not going to have the opportunity to close the parks down because of this scenario. So,
And Kurt, I would say yes. Dandelions are good anyway, so I'm all about that because we've actually taken the approach where we're doing minimal. This is a great opportunity for park maintenance staff to really find out what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, I think, within the tolerance level. We did get our hand slapped because there was a miscommunication between myself and our park superintendent. So just be prepared for your staff to maybe deal with this, where before the call was made, the stay at home and the work restrictions, that type of thing, where our staff was out lining a soccer field. I don't know why. I told them specifically not to, but we had a call from a business owner who's also a resident. He was livid. That's where our resources during this time were. So think about public perception. I think there's two parts to public perception here. One, public employees are not getting laid off necessarily. Some are, but we have it good. So be aware of that, and that's something our township manager has really cautioned us about. I mean, we're the ones, most of us are fortunate enough to have a pension or some other type of retirement package, and we're also being either paid to not work, be at home, or being paid to, we have a job to come to. So I would be mindful about the essential, quote unquote, things that we're doing in our park system kind of during this, national or international crisis. So keep that in mind, and I would say pepper your staff with either information or direct them to say, you know what, you need to give my supervisor a call and talk about it that way. I do agree, though, this is the perfect time to be out slit seeding, fertilizing. And also, I think the justification is there to be mowing, because in order to maintain social distancing, we need to have wide open spaces for people to go to. It's not just about trails. You do want to have those wide open fields where a family can come and throw a ball around or kick a ball. So having those areas mowed and maintained is important to continuing to provide that resource to our residents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just what Derek said there, I know a couple guys on our staff who've already gotten some crap from like their neighbors at nighttime and stuff like that, saying, "Oh, you're making a paycheck," So there is that perception, I'm going to have to sell my big screen TV because I'm not making a paycheck, you know what I mean? And you got to, like Derek said, you got to empathize with those people because they are dealing with it, I mean, there's a lot of people who are out of work right now. And this thing's not going to get any better. I mean, I got a daughter they're stationed in Northern Italy right now. They've been on quarantine for 38 days straight now that they cannot leave their house. And that, so other than my son-in-law being military, he goes to work every day because they got to keep their operational readiness. But my grandson and my daughter, who's 7 months pregnant, is sitting in a house, and they can't go 200 meters away from their house or they get sighted. So it's a serious event,
And I think, again, just make sure, I also have made sure we kept our elected officials in the loop so they know what's going on. I think every agency is different. It sounds like some agencies, they're being told by their elected officials to do this or do that in terms of closures. We're given that ability to make that call, and then we report back to them and say, hey, this is what we're doing. I mean, we're the paid professionals, and we're the ones who can be making these calls. And we take recommendations from all of our local, county, state, and federal partners to make the best call that we can for our agencies. And I think we need to continue to do that. So there was something from Emily regarding, I'm just looking at trash. So it was just a comment to May. So one other thing, basically, as trash builds up, there could be ways, and I've seen this with some departments, of engaging volunteers, sending it out there and say, hey, practice social distancing, but help clean up our parks. And I think that's kind of what Emily was alluding to in something that she sent to me. And we can follow up with this group about that too. But that's something else to keep in mind. We have seen that I'm getting, because people have nothing else to do, I'm getting emails saying, hey, what can be done in the parks? And we're not doing plantings right now, that's for sure. So I either tell them, go pick up trash or take some snips with you and go, cut some non-native invasive vines down. And, that's beneficial for us as well. So Brian BK just kind of put out, how might expanded park areas, quote unquote, affect operations? Example, closing streets in Philly to be open areas as makeshift parks. That's an interesting idea, especially in areas that don't have much open space, where you would maybe close off a parking lot or close off an area and then reserve that as a park. I mean, we have one of the largest park systems in Montgomery County, so we're not falling into that right now, but I think maybe some more of our urban agencies or smaller agencies, may be falling into that. Does anybody want to comment? Have they designated any other areas as quote unquote parks during this process where they're not normally parks or open space?
Derek, I just want to add that we are currently planning a roundtable of similar nature for urban rec. So that'll be one of those topics, but I'd certainly like to hear if anybody has been doing that already.
Bueller, anybody? Dan, I once that's announced, I'd like to be on that. While we don't fall into that, I think there's lessons to be learned. So I'll look for that invite to that one. That sounds like there would be a lot of great information shared.
Yeah, and we'll keep.
Sorry, Dan. Just so everyone knows, all of our virtual roundtables, like today is maintenance, Monday we have aquatics, we'll have a leadership, urban programs and events and summer camp, they will all be coming up within the next 2 weeks. And of course, even with this topic, we can repeat it as things are evolving. So we have a specific page on our website that people can check for dates and times. And we are recording these. So we'll make them available on that same webpage, a link to the recording as well.
Okay.
Just to add to that, I just launched a poll that if you want to complete about these types of meetings to see if you'd like to do that. And also if you have other subjects that you want, make sure that's addressed. I put my email address under my picture there that you could just send that right to me.
So I have to, not that this centers around me. As a middle child, I think everything centers around me. But I have to jump on another call. I have our recreation division. We're meeting, I don't know what every other staff is doing, but our recreation division, we're actually doing 3 conference calls a week. We're doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're having a general department meeting on Monday morning. So even our part-time staff who aren't currently working right now, I invite everybody to participate in that call. And then typically on Tuesday afternoons, I meet with our parks division staff every week. So we're actually continuing to do that just through conference call with our superintendent. I think one of the biggest things we can do as supervisors or managers is, while we may not have all the answers here, I think it's really important to make sure we have an open line of communication with all of our staff and let them know, make them a part of the process, even if they're on a call and they're not necessarily contributing. I think keeping them in the loop is important, not only for their sanity during this time, but also so you can hit the ground running when you do open up to full operation again. We're not playing catch up. So it's really important that if everybody's informed, they know what's going on. And we're doing that specifically with our programs and events. We're keeping a running list of things that we are postponing and changing the dates so that there's a full listing. We're not trying to remember, okay, what did we do with that? What did we do with, this? I mean, that's definitely an approach that we've taken. So I got to jump off in a minute or two. Go ahead. Any other questions or comments?
I said that was a good suggestion, Derek.
Okay. Well, thanks to the PRPS staff for organizing this. Cindy, I did see, and it sounds like you might end up working with Emily and Tim, as they've been contacted. At least Tim has been on my email list regarding Montgomery County about other departments. But if other counties are out there, I think those that are on this call probably are the leaders in their counties or their communities. So if you can start to get a list, help DCNR get that list together, I think that would be beneficial. So, I mean, we have a Montgomery County Park and Rec Directors group that we kind of restarted over the last couple of years. And that's how we've communicated. And we just saw value in knowing what our peers are doing. So I would encourage you, if you're not already, to kind of send that email out to your peers in your area or your county and say, hey, what's everyone else doing? And PRPS has posted the example, I think, from Berks and Montgomery County. It's super easy. We just did it in Excel. It's the agency, where you're at, and any notes related to that. I'd encourage others to do that as well. Okay.
Judy, you want to add anything?
No, I think this was good. Thank you for organizing it. Thanks for leading it, Derek. Did a good job as usual.
Thank you.
Derek, can you hear me? Yeah, this is Cindy. Your list has served a foundation. It's wonderful, and we appreciate that. Like I said, we are going to attempt to do a state one, and I definitely appreciate any lists to come to me. I'll talk to PRPS this afternoon so we can make sure that we are coordinating our efforts. Theirs is going to be more accessible to all you guys. And then I have a very specific function for the one that I'm doing. So we'll work on that together. Thanks all for your help.
Cindy, before you go, if you could, in the chat box to everyone, please put your email address down there, because not everyone on this call will necessarily have your email address. And that way, that they know who to email directly.
Okay, I'll do it right now.
Okay, then yeah, before you get off the call, just make sure you note Cindy's email address, because I think once and Nikki, you might be able to tell me this, or Dan, I think once we close this Zoom group down, we're not going to have access to the chat function, correct?
Nikki, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so I believe once we close, the chat will go away, but I think I get a copy of the full chat discussion. So when we put the recording up, as long as I can copy that discussion, I'll put it up with the recording.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I think that's right. And again, if just a quick update on the poll, 64% think we should continue every other week, and 27% say weekly. So, and that's about half of you voted. So if the rest of you have the opportunity, please vote, and we'll get that set up. And again, if you have any questions for further discussions, please, you can email me, danh@prps.org, or anyone at prps.org, and we can get it up there for you. Okay, everyone. Is that it, or any last comments? Thumbs up if everybody's ready to take off and do new stuff.
And
Okay,
Cindy
guys.
she did post her email address for those on this call. If you want to copy and paste that, that would be great.
And I could just read it for those who just want to copy it, jot it down. It's C.Y. Dunlap, D-U-N-L-A-P, @pa.us.
It should be pa.gov.
Yes, it should be pa.gov. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this roundtable. We hope to continue these as long as the situation demands. And hopefully by working together like this and sharing ideas, we can all be smarter for it.